Hello friends, it's a high honor once again to welcome you back to Rick's Garage. What I have in the garage here is a 2016 Nissan Rouge. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle. I think they're all-wheel drive vehicles, to be honest with you. A few weeks ago I posted a video on how to change the camshaft sensor on this car. At that time, the vehicle was running really rough. We got the codes P0017 and P0014. Essentially, that means there's a correlation error between the camshaft sensor and the crankshaft sensor. In layman's terms, they disagree. So one of them was bad. Now, the manufacturer recommends replacing both at the same time. So I purchased both sensors. So a few weeks ago I posted the video, as I just said, on how to replace the camshaft sensor, because that one was very quick and easy. It was on top of the motor. The crankshaft sensor, not so much. So I've been hanging on to it, and I'm just now kind of getting around to replacing it. Now, I'm an old Yankee, and there's an old saying here in New England, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. However, I do have the part. I spent quite a bit of money on the part. And when I looked on YouTube, I couldn't find any videos whatsoever that show how to replace that crankshaft sensor on this particular model. There's ones on Altimas and older Nissan Rouges, but a 216 and up, there's nothing. So I decided to go forward with this video. Just to give you an idea of where this particular part is located on the car, I've got a photograph of a motor that's out of a 2016 Rouge. It's sitting on a pallet. You can see I've circled the part with a little arrow. Now this particular sensor is, in my mind, virtually impossible to get at from underneath the car. Because this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, there's a big transfer case that gives power to the rear wheels, and this is exactly underneath this sensor. Unless you've got a lift and long slender arms, you're never going to get to it. So in my mind, the only alternative is to get to it from up top. In this photograph, friends, I drew a straight line through the throttle body down to the crankshaft sensor, just to give you an idea of where exactly it is as you look down through the top of the motor. Now, further complicating this a little bit is the power booster for the brakes. That's in the way a little bit too. So I'm hoping that I do not need to remove the throttle body, but if I have to, I will. Okay friends, the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. That's always a good move no matter what kind of repair you're doing. As you can see, it's kind of corroded a little bit, so give us a good opportunity to clean that up as well. Okay, that's off. We'll clean that terminal when we get ready to reinstall it, but what I'm going to do for the time being is I put a little cover over it. That'll protect the cable from accidentally coming back in contact with it while we're working on the car. Alright, next I'm going to unclip this little hose and get that kind of out of the way. And now I'm going to remove this little clamp. Okay, got that out of the way. Alright, so now I'm going to pop the intake resonator up. On the left side, you just pull it straight up. And on the right side, you push it a little bit to your left and pull it up. There it is. Okay, so just a little bit to your left and pull it straight up. And now we have one more clamp that we have to undo. Well, I'm hoping you can see this okay. But this hose clamp here, there's not enough room to remove it. So what you've got to do is you've got to hold it opened while you slide the intake resonator out. So let's try doing that. There we go. All right, that wasn't bad. All right, as you recall, we earlier removed this little clamp here, so now we got to slide this hose out. There we go. And now the intake resonator is free. Okay, so now I'm going to move this evap service hose out of the way a little bit. May wind up tying it off. Okay, next I'm going to remove the ductwork that attaches the mass flow sensor to the throttle body. And that will have to be replaced because the screw came completely out. I don't want to lose it down in there. There we go. Either I'll repair that or get a new one. This one came off quite a lot easier. Pull this out of here. And let's get this end out of here. Okay. With that ductwork removed, I should be able to get a look at the part we're trying to replace. Okay, what I've resorted to here, friends, is I've taken the wheels off the front of the car and I've lowered the vehicle as much as I possibly can. The ball joints are almost touching the garage floor. Not quite, but almost. And I think this will give me better access to reaching in behind there to try to get at that sensor. I don't know any other way. The vehicle was just too tall and I was leaning over too far and I really couldn't see down in there. So I'm hoping that this will give me a much better view in there. Okay, friends, lowering the car paid off. I do have a much better view down in there. I can actually see the wire that goes to the sensor. I can't actually see the sensor yet, but I can see the wire. I'm going to have to get some of these hoses out of the way so I can get my arm down in there. First, I'm going to remove these two hoses to the throttle body. I think they carry coolant to keep the throttle body cool. Then I'm going to tie this vacuum hose off. Now, I hate to do this, but these two heater hoses are exactly in the way. So I'm going to pull those. Hopefully I won't lose too much coolant. I'll come back when I got all that stuff done. And then we'll see if I can actually get my arm down in there. Okay, friends, I'm back. If you hear a little noise in the background, it's thundering out today. I've gone ahead, as you can see, and removed the battery. The reason for that, I'll explain in a minute. I did that off camera. It's pretty straightforward, pulling a battery out of a car. I don't think you needed to see that. I've succeeded in giving myself a little more room in here. I pulled off the coolant lines to the throttle body. I tied off the fuel inlet. And I've got a little more room now. I had talked about possibly removing the heater hoses. And I really don't want to do that. I will if I have to, but I think I can work around them. What's causing me trouble now is this damn master cylinder. When I put my arm down in here, I'm scraping it on this, and it's kind of sharp, even though it's made out of plastic. So my game plan now is to give me a little more room. Now, I suppose if you're a thin person with long arms, you probably wouldn't have a problem like I'm having with this. I could pull the throttle body, but I don't think that's going to give me a lot more room than what I have now. So my game plan now is to remove the air filter box, remove this module, and that will give me access to unbolt the master cylinder. Now, I'm not going to open the master cylinder as far as the brake lines. I don't want to have to wind up bleeding the whole system. So what I'm hoping to do is just simply unbolt the master cylinder from the booster and try to move it over just a little bit to give me a little more room to get in through here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is pull off this cover here. Just squeeze these and this should come right out. Easier said than done. Yeah, it unclips. Okay. Here we go. That's off. All right, that came off quite easily. I'm going to take the mass flow sensor plug off. Squeeze this little thing here. That comes right off. Okay. Now I'm going to remove this 10mm bolt that holds the box in place. So now I'm going to unbolt this module. See if I can slide that out of the way just enough to get that box out of there. I don't need to cut them. I think I can just pop them out. There we go. Pop this one out too. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, so that's out of the way. Now let's see if we can get this box out. There we go. Okay. All right. Now I'm pulling that out. I knocked one of the clips out that go to the cowl here. I heard it hit the floor, so I'll get it later. So now I have access to the master cylinder bolts. And I'm going to unbolt those and see if I can just pull this master cylinder out and just lean it off to the side to give me a little more room to get in through here. You know, it's amazing how difficult they make this car to work on. I'll tell you, it's a nice car, but if you're somebody that likes to do things yourself, you might want to stay away from one of these. Okay, this is a 13mm nuts on this master cylinder. Let's see if we can get one off. Can't get a socket in there because it's well protected by this it's well protected by the brake line. It's kind of ridiculous to go through all this just to replace a sensor, but that's how this car is designed. And like I said, if you're not a fat person like me, you got long slender arms, you should be able to get your arm in there and access that thing. Don't want to drop it. Some of the things you drop in here you never find. Oh, there we go. I dropped it. Damn it. But I see it. It landed on that big transmission transfer case that I talked about earlier. Alright, just gotta get the other side out. I think I could do that with a regular ratchet. Okay, got that out. You notice I did the most difficult one first. The reason for that is it's much better to do it that way. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can pull this out a little bit and get it off without having to undo these brake lines. There we go. Don't want to lose that O-ring. And that's exactly what I was hoping to do here, was move this way out of the way. And it looks like I was successful. So now I should be able to get down in there fairly easily. Okay, now I've got plenty of room to get down in there. At this point, though, I am going to remove these hoses. I don't care if I lose coolant or not. Okay, friends, I've replaced my GoPro camera down on top of that transfer case I've been talking about. I don't have it focused on the sensor as of yet. The reason I've got it there now is I want to show you this little nut here. This is a little bracket that holds the wire that goes to the sensor, and I want to remove that bracket to free up that wire a little bit. By the way, I've got my camera linked to my phone so I can see what you're seeing. Off camera, I clipped that cable tie that holds the wire to this bracket. Now that I've got this bracket completely out of the way, let's see if we can get on that 10mm nut. Okay, I managed to get a turn on that 10mm nut. However, my hand is exactly blocking your vision. So I'm going to attempt to move the camera off to the side a little bit, see if I can give you a better look at this. Okay, I already got the thing loose with that turn that I made, so I'm going to go in with a nut driver and see if I can unscrew it the rest of the way. Lord, thank you. I got the screw out. I don't know how I'll ever get it back in, but I got the screw out. Come on, out of there. Something came out, and it was the sensor. Lord, give praise. Got the sensor out. Let's see if we can get it unplugged. And it's unplugged. Lord, thank you. The sensor is out. I apologize, friends, for the poor camera work. It's very cramped in there. You're not able to see me slipping the new sensor in because my hand is exactly in your way. Okay, friends, I'm ready to try to put that screw in. You may notice I put a piece of tape in my socket to prevent the screw from falling out. The other thing you may notice is there's no background noise. I switched over to my endoscope camera, which is not equipped with a speaker, to try to give you a better view, which thus far has not worked out. All right, with the screw snugged, I'm going to try to get in there with my ratchet and finish tightening it. Okay, friends, off camera I reached in and plugged that sensor back in. I decided to spare you the unpleasant view of the back of my hand once again. Okay, friends, we've got this sensor installed and plugged in. Normally at this point I would say, okay, put everything back together in reverse order and end the video. And for those of you that feel comfortable in doing so, feel free to leave now. For those of you who want to stay with me a little bit longer, I'll walk you through putting this all together. So those that are going to be leaving me, I want to thank you for watching, and we hope to see you really, really soon. And for those that want to stay with me, hang on and we'll put this back together again. Okay, friends, as you may recall, we removed this bracket. It's a 16mm nut, and the purpose of this bracket was to tie off the wire harness under there. I don't want to leave that wire harness flopping all over the place. So I've got an ordinary cable tie. I'm going to replace this bracket and attach the cable tie to that wire harness. I'm going to do that off camera because it's a fairly simple process. You have fairly easy access to it. And I don't want to fit another camera behind there. I'm sick of doing that. Okay, friends, I'll be back when this is installed. Okay, friends, I just wanted you to see that I've got that bracket installed and the wire harness secured as it should be. Okay, friends, next I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these heater hoses. I was undecided for a while whether I wanted to disconnect them. Mainly I was afraid of losing coolant, and I did indeed lose a little coolant. I never actually showed removing these, so I'll show you the installation. What I did here, you'll notice I put a couple of little stoppers here to minimize the loss of coolant. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these heater hoses right now. I'm going to pull them down. I got them tucked up here. There they are. Okay. So what I'm going to do is slip out one of these stoppers and quickly put the coolant line in. You'll see fluid coming out again, and I'm trying to get this on as quickly as possible to minimize that. Did lose a little bit, and now I'm going to pull the stopper out on the other side and put that on, and hopefully I won't lose too much coolant. Yeah, the car will probably smell like coolant for a while. Okay, that one I didn't lose much at all. Alright, so off camera I'll just slip these clamps back on. Okay, friends, next I'm going to reconnect these two coolant lines that go to the throttle body. Now I can clip the line that goes to the fuel rail back in here. Now it looks like I can reclip in the evap line. This is the evap service port. We can clip that back in where it goes. Okay, so as far as the hoses that I had to disconnect or tie off, they're all back in place. Next, I'm ready to push the master cylinder back into the booster. Now, you want to make sure that you get this O-ring back where it's supposed to be before you put it in. This might be a little bit difficult because I kind of bent those lines a little bit. So I just want to get it in position. I don't quite have it in just right yet. There we go. I'll finish bolting in that master cylinder off camera. Okay friends, we got the master cylinder back in fine. And now I'm going to try to put this air box back in where the air filter is kept. I'm going to open it up because it looks like there's some signs of the rodents have been in here. I see a few seeds and things like that. So I'm going to open this up and see if we can get the, yeah, look at this, like a nest already. The seeds and nests and everything else. So I don't have another air filter right here. I'm not going to drive uptown to get one right now. This one actually doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to blow it out and clean the air box and put it back together again. And in the days to come, I'll pick up a new air filter for it. But I don't feel like driving uptown to get one right now. Okay, I'm going to attempt to snake this air box back in. I know it was a little tricky getting it out, so it'll probably be equally as tricky trying to put it back in. So let's see how this goes. Okay, we got it in somewhat. I got to get it by this master cylinder. There we go. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, let's see what I've got to do. I've got to actually pull it back out, and the bottom has got to go in first. There we go. Now I've got to get it into its little holes that hold it in place. There we go. Okay, there it is, it's in. Okay, there's a little 10mm bolt that locks this air box in place. To save time, I'll install that off camera. Okay, so now we got the box in place. We're going to put this module back in, bolt this module back in where it was. Now, you don't want to be screwing around with these modules with the battery connected. My nephew was working on his GM vehicle with power to the battery, and somehow with a screwdriver he wound up shorting this thing out and blew the whole thing, and it cost him a fortune. He wound up having to get a new module. He had to have the dealer program it. He tried several times to get one out of a car like his out of the junkyard. It never worked. So you don't want to be screwing around and accidentally short this thing out. So if you're working around this thing for any reason on any nearby component, make damn sure you have the battery disconnected. The 10mm bolts to hold this in place, by the way. Okay, that's bolted back in. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the mass flow sensor. It's right here. It's plugged in, and we'll attach the wire harness right there. Okay, that's good. Okay friends, this video is getting really long on the tooth. It's past 30 some odd minutes now. So all that remains for you to do is to install the ductwork on each side of the air box, put the air intake resonator back in, and reinstall the battery. Just those three things. Oh, and by the way, we did lose a little bit of coolant. So if you elected, like I did, to remove those coolant hoses, you might want to add some coolant. So we're going to call this video done. You shouldn't have any trouble doing those three things. So I want to thank you once again for watching Rick's Garage. Before I go, I'm going to post 2 videos to your left. Feel free to click on one or the other should you find them of interest. And to your right will be a picture of my avatar in the form of my trusty German Shepherd. Please, by all means, feel free to click on that if you wish to subscribe. Once again, I apologize for the length of this video. It is indeed a very difficult car to work on. I would say this job, in a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being replacing an engine or transmission, number 1 being changing your oil, I would say this was probably a 5 or a 6 in the degree of difficulty. There were no special tools required. It was helpful to have a Wi-Fi enabled camera. If you do use a Wi-Fi enabled camera, keep in mind there's a couple of second lag time there. That'll take a little getting used to. So once again, I want to thank you for watching, and we hope to see you all again very, very soon.